Hey guys, welcome back to Camille's Corner. So, y'all, I wanted to weigh in on this whole situation between Kourtney Kardashian and Corey Gamble, where they had this huge argument about disciplining her child, okay? So, if y'all don't know, Corey Gamble is Kris Jenner's boyfriend, and they've been together for quite a while, so he's like Kourtney's stepdad at this point. Anyway, so on a recent episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kourtney and Scott were talking about their daughter Penelope and saying that she has some behavioral problems to the point where she lashes out at people. And they said one of their babysitters actually quit because the child scratched her in her face. And the way they spoke, y'all, I mean, it's clear that it wasn't the first time that the child has done something like that. So Penelope is 7 years old, and Kourtney and Scott were talking about her behavioral problems and how she scratched up her babysitter, and Corey jumped in and basically said that if she had done that to him, he would have spanked her. And you would swear that he said something so terrible, as though he said he would drag her through the streets or something, because Kourtney and Scott's reaction was extreme. To me, it was extreme, okay? They started yelling and hollering, "Don't you ever say that about my child!" As though he said something so awful. And the next thing you know, Kourtney's saying that she's afraid to have her kids around Corey, like if he's some kind of abuser or something. Y'all, check it out, and then I'm going to tell y'all what I think about this whole situation. And I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me, but it is what it is, okay?
Oh, you guys, I don't have a nanny anymore. What? She said P was really upset. She was putting her in the car, and Penelope scratched her face. But P can be out of control. I think she almost like blacks out and like does these wild things. But
I'm sorry, but if P scratched me for no reason, I'm whipping her ass, and I'll explain to y'all later.
What?
I would whip her ass.
You would whoop Penelope's ass if she scratched you?
I would give her a spanking for sure.
My daughter? What are you talking about?
Scratch me in
You
my
would whoop
face.
my daughter's ass if she touched you?
No, scratch me. If she
You would
scratched
whip
me.
my daughter's ass.
Why not?
If she scratched you?
Why
A
not?
little 6-year-old girl?
That's
What
the,
the are you talking about?
that's the problem.
Stop it.
But
Stop
that's the
it,
problem.
Corey.
But that's
Stop
the
it.
problem.
You're not going to beat my little daughter.
Not beat. I would.
I don't think he's
Hey.
meaning like
He just
beat
said
her.
it.
He does
Hey.
mean that. He does
You
mean
just
that.
said you
If
would
she-
beat my daughter.
I said
if
whip.
She scratched you.
I said whip.
My little daughter? What are you saying? You don't have kids.
If she
Don't
scratched my
ever
face-
talk about a child like that.
If she scratched my
Ever.
face?
Ever. Anyone's child.
Hey, I understand you're emotional.
Come on,
but
Corey.
I promise you, I wouldn't. I'd
You
do
would
it if
hit
you-
my daughter?
Not hit her to hurt her,
You
but
just said I would whoop her ass.
whipping is that's discipline, motherfucker. What you talking about?
Corey, you said you would whip my little daughter's ass.
I'll whip your ass.
So y'all just saw that, and I see a lot of people agreeing with Kourtney and Scott, and a lot of people are saying that corporal punishment is not effective and that it gives kids mental issues and whatnot. And I'm really trying to see that part of it, but at the same time, y'all don't act like y'all didn't get a smack or two growing up, okay? And don't act like you didn't deserve it. Because, y'all, I was raised by my grandmother, and she was really old school. And y'all know what old school Caribbean parents are like. I got smacked for acting up in public, and guess what? I didn't act up in public anymore. I got smacked for talking back, and guess what? I didn't talk back anymore. Y'all, I got smacked for leaving the house when my grandmother told me not to. And guess what? I didn't leave the house without permission anymore. And, at that time, as a child, I might have been really angry about it. But as an adult looking back, I recognize that as my grandmother making sure that I kept on the right path. And guess what? I'm 31 years old now. I've never been arrested, never been in trouble. I've got a squeaky clean image. And I credit the discipline that I had growing up for that. And you know what? I doubt that this was the first time that the nanny had an issue like that. Because a kid acting out just one time isn't going to make somebody quit their job working for one of the most famous families in the world. So I feel like it must have happened a lot without being addressed for the nanny to feel like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And I mean, apart from spanking, I'm wondering if Kourtney even spoke to the child and sat her down with the nanny and said, listen, you cannot lash out at people like this, and you need to apologize. I mean, Kourtney said that she apologized to the nanny, but did she make the kid apologize and be held accountable for what she did? Because if she had done that, at least that might have made some difference and she would still have a nanny. But right now, I feel like Courtney's just making excuses for that child's behavior and the nanny couldn't deal with it. And quite frankly, I don't blame her, okay? So I totally agreed with Corey that spanking is discipline. I think society has evolved in this way that everything has to be politically correct, down to the way we discipline our children. And to me, that's dangerous because it's why we see videos like this with kids bossing their parents around and screaming and throwing tantrums to get what they want and stuff like that. And parents are literally afraid to smack them because of what other people will think. Y'all, look at this. Y'all, me personally, I could never have my kid disrespecting me or anybody else like that. And I'm like, oh, physical discipline is not the way to go. Bitch, please, one good smack and that kid would straighten the hell up, okay? I'm the parent, you're the kid, and I don't care how people sugarcoat it. If you act a fool, you will get smacked. And I do agree that there is a thin line between discipline and abuse, and nobody's advocating to go grab a broomstick and beat your child. Nobody's co-signing anything crazy like that. But I'm sorry, if my kid lashes out at someone or is cussing and being disrespectful, I'm gonna spank them. Now, where I disagree with Corey is that those aren't even his kids, okay? He has no right to talk about spanking another person's child. That's not his place. And if a parent wants to spank their child, fine. But you're just a random person. You're just a mother's boyfriend. You don't get to spank my child. What's wrong with you? And y'all, I actually had that happen with my kid once, okay? This was a long time ago. I can't even remember what it was that he did, but he did something and his grandfather had smacked him on the butt for it. And I flipped the hell out, y'all. I was like, don't you dare put your hands on my child. I mean, if my child does something wrong, tell me about it and I will discipline him as I see fit. You don't take that upon yourself. And I know people say that it takes a village to raise a child, but I'm sorry, y'all, fuck that, okay? Because was the village in the bed with me when I conceived that child? I hope not, because that would have been some freaky shit, and I don't roll like that, okay? But seriously, if the village wasn't in the bed with me when I conceived that child, then the village doesn't get to discipline my child. Okay, and if the village didn't buy diapers and pay school fees and medical bills, then the village needs to stay the fuck up out of my business. So I totally think that Corey should have just kept his mouth shut and let them white people argue about how to discipline their kids, okay? But you see, Corey is a black man, and to me, black culture is very different, okay? Black people know what's up when their kids start acting a fool. But he was literally the only black man at that table. So I'm not shocked that they reacted the way they did. And, you know, like I said, I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but I said what I said. And my grandmother spanked me, and I loved her to death still, okay? I think she gave me that kind of foundation to know that there are consequences for your actions. And that followed me into adulthood, and I respect her for it. She raised 4 grandchildren, and we all got spanked, and ain't none of us turned out fucked up, okay? And y'all, she died a couple years ago, and I still won't act up because I'm scared her ghost is gonna rise up from the grave and smack me upside the head, okay? So I'm still on my best behavior. Okay, but seriously, yo, I mean, I know there are kids with like underlying issues that cause them to act up, and they need a different approach. I'm not saying no, but personally for me, my kid isn't gonna attack a babysitter and scratch up her face to the point where she feels unsafe and quits her job, and I don't do anything about it. I don't care about being politically correct. What I care about is not raising a disrespectful, entitled brat who thinks that they can just treat people like shit because their parents are rich. That's what I care about. And I'm not gonna find excuses for my kids' behavior if they're acting like that. But, you know, I don't got them kind of problems because I've got well-behaved kids, okay? They would never. But anyway, y'all, that's just my take on this whole crazy situation. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Are you for or against spanking kids? And do you feel like Corey Gamble was out of place for what he said? Let me know in the comments. Bye, guys, and thanks for watching.